the Northeast, which has experienced very devastating impact of the terrorism financing. I'm glad that our Honorable Chairman of EFCC is here because they have done some finding and they have found out some groups of individuals that are actually behind, or that some of them are behind financing terrorism in our country. So we need every effort to support them with the necessary credible information to be able to deal with those who are making life difficult for our country. Nigerians have suffered sufficiently enough in the hands of terrorists and their enablers, and it is time to bring an end to this wicked, brutal attack on innocent Nigerians, especially women and children. So we are glad that we are all going to be working together to support the effort of government to prevent and also detect those who are making life miserable for Nigerians. This dialogue remains critical to galvanize all-inclusive conversation on the theme's focus, given the recurring threat to lives and property from many Nigerians occasioned by terrorism and violent extremism that have caused a lot of mayhem in our country. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that terrorism constitutes a global threat, and Nigeria, unfortunately, is one of the countries that faces a higher level of terrorism. While attempts to combat terrorism and violent extremism in the country continue, policy attention has been shifted toward many sources of terrorism financing, which have continued to fuel terrorism and other violent conflicts in our country. Without doubt, terrorism financing is backbone of terrorist group, as funds go into buying weapons, recruiting militia, and opening terrorist organizations, just as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, put it. Terrorist groups need money to sustain themselves and carry out their wicked terrorism acts. Terrorist financing in this context encompasses the means and the method used by terrorist organizations to Terrorist financing in this context encompasses the means and the method used by terrorist organizations to finance their activities, leveraging funds from legitimate sources such as businesses, other charitable organizations, or even from illegal activities, including trafficking in weapons and drugs, or people for kidnapping, which has become very rampant in our country, sadly. In this effect, according to the United Nations Human Rights Council, terrorism diverts foreign investment, reduces capital inflow, destroys infrastructure, disturbs financial markets, impairs economic growth, and has significant negative impact on social and cultural human rights. Hence, the prevention of terrorism is highly desirable and should be a top priority of our beloved country, and for us to actually have sustainable development in our own country. We know that our security men and women have been working very hard to ensure that they curtail the effect of terrorism in this country, but also the citizens need to also contribute by providing credible information and also staying away from being recruited to commit such kind of atrocities. The increasing concern about financing of terrorist activities within the country have triggered unfavorable indices from 2023 Global Terrorism Index, which ranks Nigeria 8th among the top 10 countries with the greatest level of terrorism in the world. This is a very, very sad, progress. We shouldn't be in this level. We should be at the level of country that is making positive impact and making progress in our socio-economic and political development, as well as science and technology, not in terrorism. So it is not a good thing for us as a nation. And this is not about a government or president. It is about all of us as citizens. We all have responsibility to put hands together to defeat terrorism in this country. In March alone, 2024, the federal government naming 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 Bureau de change operators and firms that are said to be involved in terrorism financing, has highlighted the pressing issue of terrorism and terrorist financing in our country. As poor awareness at community level hamper collective monitoring and timely response to warning signals of potential terrorist activities and violent extremism, the security situation in Nigeria has become increasingly complex and uncertain as various non-state actors, armed groups have emerged and consolidated, conceived power to terrorize the population in Nigeria, as evident with the activities of the armed bandits, criminal gangs, separate groups, religious fundamentalists, and a whole lot of them, including kidnappers, that have also become, a very terrible nightmare in the country. These so-called unknown men, unknown gunmen, they are known, and we need to flush them. They cannot be killing our officers. Just last week, some police officers and army officers were killed. Even just some few days in Katsina. I mean, it's only in Nigeria you will see this kind of sin. So-called non-state actors will take arms and be killing, police will be killing army, and people just move on just like that. We need to protect our security men and women that are also giving their lives. And sadly, some of them, when they are even killed on this, not even any national honor, not even any support to their families. We need to change the way we do things. Otherwise, we will not encourage people to even join any security, agencies. Even the anti-corruption agencies, see how they are being bullied, they've been attacked simply because they want to help cleanse the country. They want to prevent people from taking the resources that are meant for our development. And Nigerians sometimes, they just keep quiet and watch. If you are keeping quiet and watch, you will continue to plunge in this absolute poverty in our country that are created artificially by those who did not want us to make progress. So an attack on anti-corruption is an attack on the Nigerian people. So we need to rise up to make sure that we support our anti-corruption agencies, we support our security agencies to make sure that they make life easy and better so that even international investors can come confidently in the country. Without that, there's no way we can get out of this economic quagmire that we find ourselves in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the consequences of terrorism have continued to aggravate extreme poverty rate among the Nigerians. Internally displacement, devastated livelihood, just as opportunities for broader growth, development, and prosperity are completely destroyed. The weak security and surveillance at national border contribute to the issue of terrorism financing in Nigeria. The lack of control and monitoring allowed terrorists, as well as small arms and light weapons, to infiltrate the country quickly. The former Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Rebo, revealed that 137 out of about 261 borders in the northeast and northwest are unguided with such easy access. Terrorist organizations conduct operations and finance their activities more efficiently. This stresses the imperative of strengthening security measures at border by Nigerian authorities to prevent inflow of funds and resources for the terrorists. Let me also stress here, our custom have a role to play because many of these arms that are coming, they are coming either from the seaport or either from the airport or from the land border. So which means that we need to government agencies need to cooperate, need to coordinate, need to support one another with the information to defeat these people that are coming to make life difficult for Nigerians. We cannot afford just to watch and be seeing Nigerians being killed, being sold in their own country. Terrorists are selling people. They kidnap you and they ask for ransom. And it's like normal. If you don't pay those money, you are likely not come back home. And yet, we have country, we have leadership, we need to wake up. Wherever the shortcomings are, wherever the lapses are, we need to rise up, and the government alone cannot do that. We need to support them as responsible, patriotic citizens to be able to do that. Otherwise, this kidnapping for ransom, this recruitment of innocent Nigerians who are, poverty, affected persons, terrorists are recruiting those ones. And even here in Abuja, you can see children at the age of 5, at the age of 7, roaming on the street, easy to be recruited by any criminal gangs. So I think parents need to also be responsible. You cannot be producing children that you cannot take care of. There's nowhere where any religion or any culture that encourages you to produce children that you cannot take care of. You must make sure that you are able to provide, training. You are able to take care of your children. You cannot be, bringing children and then you throw them on the street in the name of begging. This must, stop. And I'm also using this opportunity to call on the FCT minister to reactivate social welfare department in FCDA. In the past, we used to have a very, good department, social welfare department, and that, used to be responsible for dealing with some of these, problems. We cannot allow our young kids to be recruited by criminal gangs in this country, whether for violence, extremism, in terms of religion, or in terms of, bandit that they recruit people. We need to see how we can, stop that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to bore you with so many, talk, because our distinguished, chairman, of both EFCC and ICPC and, other, guests. Other guests, they have a lot of commitments, and out of honor and respect, and because of the importance of this issue, they have come. So instead of continuing to read my speech, which is too long, I will just conclude it and then also share the statement so that people can have access to it. But I will not end without thanking Giaba, who had actually financed and support this